Here we go, episode 111 of the Hardline Sports Talk. I'm Michael Merlo. That's John Michael Masiri. JM, how are you on this beautiful fall evening?
I'm great, man. You know, what I was talking about last week with the whole AC or the heat in the car, definitely heat now. No debate there. A little frigid in the morning, a little defroster. Is that what you call it? You got to do the front and the rear on the windshield. Can't see anything when I'm driving. I remember in high school I used to roll the window down because it'd be too frosty, and I'd put my head out the window to look while I was driving because I was really late every single day.
Yeah, there were some days that happened.
Yeah, that probably wasn't the smartest idea ever, but
I still get confused on when I'm supposed to turn it on and what I'm supposed to do to actually defrost the windshield. Literally today driving over here had a hard time. I can't see anything.
We're just driving blind out here.
I figured it out, though.
If you see us on the road, just avoid. Hold on to that steering wheel a little tighter.
If you see a white Mustang or a black Nissan Rogue, just get out the way.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I do also? I wet the windshield.
That's exactly what you're not supposed to do.
I'm just
at all.
Maybe this will make it better.
Okay.
Lots to get to today. We're going to start with baseball for the first time in a very long time. But we do want to make a quick announcement, and there'll be a lot more on social media, all the directions, a little bit of change, but not much change. But everything will be set up very nice and easy on the social medias. But first, we just want to say we are excited to announce the Hardline Sports Talk is now going to be partners with BTO Media, Beat the Odds Media, where we'll collaborate with other podcasts to make content. We're very excited. A lot of great, smart, talented people we're going to be working with.
Yep.
Again, the podcasts are going to be the same. It's just where you get them might be a little different, but it'll all be easy. The links will all be the same, basically. So we're going to send all that out. We're going to have all the social medias out to follow, subscribe, everything. Yep. We'll put all that out there, though, in the coming days.
Yeah, exactly. Everything's the same. We're still the Hardline Sports Talk. We're still releasing when we released. Everything about the show, as you know it, is staying exactly the same. It's just a wonderful opportunity with Kevin and the rest of the guys at BTO Media now, where we're going to be collaborating. We're going to be able to bring some guests on this show. It was something that we've been trying to do for 2.5 years to get some real credible guests. Shout out my brother for being the only guest all the time. But yeah, super excited and ready to get to work, man. And let's talk some freaking ball, because we got a lot of sports to talk today, and we're talking all three sports. And a little teaser, end of the episode, right after we're done with football, we're going to talk a little basketball, and we're talking top 10 all-time lists, which is something that always generates controversy, and I haven't heard his list, and he hasn't heard my list.
Always a very highly debated issue. Yeah. Top 10 all-time, whether it's just the one or other guys where you order it. Yep. So it's very, very exciting. Everything's exciting.
Yes.
Everything's
so
great
much excitement.
Yes, but you know what's exciting? Playoff baseball. Yes. There's quite literally nothing that matches it, other than maybe the Stanley Cup playoffs, but other than that, the intensity of the playoffs in baseball are just insane. Yeah. And we've already seen one team eliminated, which, by the way, I don't want to harp on this too much. And the Orioles had a fantastic season. It was unreal. It was a surprise to everybody that they won 100 games. They won the division, the one seed in the American League.
Yeah.
But can we kill this owner, and can we kill this general manager for not going out there and doing more at the trade deadline to add to a team that literally won 100 games with a young core, and they're swept in the first round, in the divisional round, by the Rangers?
The first thing I'll say is I think when we evaluate baseball teams, we need to stop focusing so much on the win-loss record when looking at everybody in the playoffs and start looking at more of the numbers that really matter. Like the Orioles, a team that won over 100 games in an AL East division that was very competitive. You would think, wow, what a great team this is. And don't get me wrong, the Orioles were a great team. Their win record was a little mistelling, though. A lot of one-run games, a lot of wins in one-run games, a lot of concerns about that roster that kind of got overlooked as we went into the playoffs because of that first-round bye, because of that amazing season that they had. But guess what? The pitching crumbled. I mean, not to discredit the Rangers' offense. The Rangers' offense looks phenomenal. It's why I said that they're going to go to the World Series. They just are mashing their way through everybody right now. But those were some big question marks for that Orioles team in terms of the pitching staff and all those one-run games. And is this team legit? And I think it proved that they're not legit. And back to your point, Why were they not legit? Because their owner, with a team that he knew was going to be better this year, with a team that surprised everybody last year with almost making the playoffs, the guy decided to not only not go after some big free agents, I think his biggest signing of the offseason was like Adam Frazier.
That's huge.
Yeah.
That's big.
Real showstopper. But he's got to raise the prices, though.
Right.
He's got to make it expensive for everybody.
No,
because now they're actually putting out a product that's not winning 55 games a year.
If you want the team to be improved, just know you're going to be paying a lot more for your tickets, for parking, for food at the stadium, beer at the stadium. Just know that.
Like your hard-earned money was already not important enough.
Right.
Go and spend it on the Orioles now to help pay Adley Rutschman's potential contract extension.
And last thing, happy you mentioned Adley. Since Adley Rutschman was called up, which I found fascinating from last night, since he was called up May 21st, 2022, the exact date, since the Adley Rutschman era started in Baltimore, that team had not been swept. It was an historic streak of not being swept. They were just swept in the postseason for the first time since then by the Rangers. That's how impressive this series was by the Rangers. And you mentioned it last week when we were talking. You thought this team was going to go to the World Series. They have that feel right now of that team that is just getting hot. It always happens every year. And they limped into the playoffs. This was not a guarantee that they were going to make the playoffs. They had a really brutal road trip at the end of the year. And I actually have this right here. They hadn't played a home game since September 24th. Before last night.
Right.
Ended the season on a 7-game road trip, lost the AL West on a tiebreaker, had to fly from Seattle to Tampa to face the Rays in the wild card round. Swept this. A very impressive run here by your Texas Rangers.
Your is a strong word, but very impressive run by the Rangers, what they're doing right now. And we could sit here all day and just talk about, wow, the Rangers look so good, and, let's see how they do in the next round. I want to get a little more in-depth with this team because in baseball, we're constantly trying to say this is how you build a team to win. And you need to have X, Y, and Z, 2 really good starting pitchers. You need to have that true ace, and you need to have that really good bullpen. The bottom line is there's no true way to build a baseball team, whether it's having this strength in a position group or spending through free agency or developing your prospects or whatever you do. The bottom line is you need a talented roster to win in this league and in any sport, obviously. The Texas Rangers have taken an approach that not many other teams have taken. They have their couple guys of homegrown talent. You have your Jonah Himes and your Nathaniel Lowe's and your Josh Youngs. But you also have your Corey Seagers, your Mitch Garvers, your Marcus Semyons, your Nate Eovaldi's, your, sorry to hear it, but Jacob deGrom ended up, they don't even miss the guy. Your Max Scherzers, your Jordan Montgomerys, your John Grays. Like, this team, half the roster at least, and more than half of their, I'm sorry, I didn't mention Adolis Garcia has been a great piece for them, homegrown guy. But, by the way, good job Cardinals trading him. All these guys that are coming over from free agency and through trades that are making a lasting, huge impact for your team. I mean, Corey Seager right now looks like one of the best contracts in baseball history. Because what do we always say, Murr? We say, you sign a guy to a 10-year deal, it almost never works out. Even if they perform to the standard you're expecting them to play to, it always just seems not to work out. I don't know what Corey Seager is going to look like 8 years from now.
Yeah, that's a crazy statement.
But right now, he's playing better than what they expected.
You can't judge the contract, though, because if he has a terrible last 3 or 4 years, you're going to say, oh, my God, what a terrible contract.
He's outperforming the contract right now. They are getting a MVP bat that you maybe saw flashes of in L.A., and they are getting that right now.
Yes, but
he is the main reason right now why this team is in the ALCS.
No, I completely agree with that. He's their best player 100%, but we cannot say just because he overperformed in the first couple of years of the contract does not mean that it's just automatically a great contract. Because
you don't think that the Rangers are a front office is doing front flips right now?
No, of course they are, but we can't judge the contract of the first 3 years. You have to look at the contract at the end of this deal. At the end of this deal, for the last 3 or 4 years, he is terrible. And I'm not saying he's going to be, but if he's terrible and they're paying this guy, $32 million a year at the end of it, they're going to be begging to get rid of him. Then you're going to look at the contract a little differently.
Of course, but I think that I would be overall thrilled right now if I'm the Texas Rangers, and he's playing, when you compare him to the other salaries that these shortstops are getting, like your Xander Bogaerts and your Francisco Lindors and Trey Turners, he is the best one right now by far.
He's the best shortstop out of those guys.
The Lindor thing throws you off?
Lindor and even Turner, they had great years. You want to compare him to Bogaerts, who was not so great this year.
Do any of those guys have the capability at the shortstop position to have MVP just all across the board? If you blindfolded the position, you would think that's a first baseman or a right fielder's offensive stats, and it's a shortstop's.
Yeah, the offensive stats are obviously important, but you're also talking about one of the more important defensive positions in the sport, and a guy like Francisco Lindor plays fantastic defense.
Yeah, but I also think that the what were we talking about with Seager when he was potentially going to the Yankees is to move him to third base. I think that's in the plans for Corey Seager, is to become what his brother was, become a third baseman, and that's fine. That's what a lot of these shortstops do anyways. Manny Machado is a different story, but...
Yeah, I wouldn't... I understand what you're trying to say. His offensive numbers are better than those guys, 100%. Yeah. But overall shortstops, those guys are definitely in the conversation of some of the best. Corey Seager... Yeah, he's been great. He played about 119 games this year, right? He had 33 home runs. If he played more games that's not for Shohei Ohtani in his league, he would be winning MVP.
Yeah.
He would be the MVP of the American League. He maybe Judge didn't get hurt either.
And by the way, played a good defensive shortstop this year as well.
Yeah.
6.1 FWAR in 119 games is phenomenal.
He's the best shortstop in the league.
Yep.
Right now, 100%. The Dodgers, I'm sure, are kicking themselves. They don't have him, and we'll get to them in a little bit. But yeah, this is a team that when they went up 2-0 a couple weeks ago, I saw the World Series odds change, and they were the favorites. Mm-hmm. And I thought plus 360 the other day. It's probably a lot less right now. They are the clear favorites, and we'll talk about who they're going to play in a little bit. First, let's go over to the NL side quick, because the Phils, and I'm getting a lot of hate. I'm getting a lot of hate from a lot of our friends here about my take on the Philadelphia Phillies and how jealous I am of their sports city at the moment, because it's fantastic what's going on in Philadelphia. But the Phillies win tonight, 10-2. They take a 2-1 lead over the Braves. By the way, the Philly fans doing the chop today at Citizens Bank. Again, I don't like the city of Philadelphia. I don't like their teams. I am rooting for the Phillies to beat the Braves because of my hatred for the Braves at the moment. That was sick, because the Brave fans are just the absolute worst. And by the way, did you see them throwing crap on the field the other night?
Yeah.
We talked about that. Yeah. All fair. The catcher's interference, they're throwing things on the field. Grow up, please. Terrible fan base. Terrible players, attitudes,
every fan base throws stuff, though. Just about all of them do it. We've seen the Yankee fans do it. We've seen the Blue Jays fans do it. We've seen the Braves fans do it. We've seen
three terrible fan bases.
Okay, then every fan base has their idiots. We know that. You really think at the end of the day that a sober 45-year-old guy with his kid there is throwing a beer onto the field? That's all the drunk idiots at the game that,
I've never seen Met fans throw things on the field in
because Mets fans are renowned for being these civilized, normal people from New York that normally goes together. But the Yankee fans are nut jobs.
They are.
Anyways, this is a conversation for a different day. But
they are nut jobs.
This Phillies team, it is like you're watching a movie, basically, when you watch this team play playoff baseball. Bryce Harper out here is he trying to become Babe Ruth of Philadelphia? Because he's doing a pretty good job at it right now. It seems like in any big moment, any clutch moment, it's he's probably going to hit a home run right now.
He fits the Philadelphia mold. And I didn't even see this drama with Orlando Arcia, who, by the way, is the most overrated player in baseball, and the fact that he was an all-star over Francisco Lindor still pisses me off. But I didn't see this drama with him from the other night when the Braves won that insane Game 2 on that fantastic play by Michael Harris and everybody else in the infield. But I didn't see this beef they had. Do you know what it was?
I actually have no idea what you're talking about.
So there was this beef, and fans brought had signs or booing Arcia, and when Harper rounded the bases today, rounded second base twice, he stared down Arcia. There is a serious beef, and there's this picture going around, which is great, of him rounding second base on the second home run, which he crushed to dead center, and he's just staring right at him. It was great.
They should title the newspaper front page and say future first ballot Hall of Famer stares down one-hit wonder shortstop in playoff win.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could say that. I mean, it's all true. Yeah. But you're right. I mean, the Phillies right now in the postseason they're special, and it pains me to say it, but this is a team that should absolutely, at the moment, be the favorite to represent the National League in the World Series. I said it before the series started. This was going to be the team that at least won this series and probably represented the National League against all my wishes. But they've got something going in the postseason right now. Aaron Nola looks like a different pitcher when he's pitching in the postseason, especially this season, because he didn't have the greatest year. He was really good today. Went 5 2/3, 1 run. He was good. Wheeler. How good is Wheeler, man?
Yeah, he's fantastic. His stuff is just disgusting.
It's dangerous. He's scary. He's scary good. And this is a guy that out of all those Mets pitchers, right, we want to rank all these Mets pitchers when they had Syndergaard and DeGrom and Harvey and Matz and everybody, Cologne. This guy ends up being the best one. Arguably. He might be the best one.
And I would argue that when you talk about DeGrom, obviously DeGrom is the guy who has, the nastiest stuff and the craziest stats and this and that. But Zach Wheeler is a guy who has stayed on the field for longer. He's been more consistent. I would argue that the Mets would have been better off. I would argue, and I am arguing, the Mets would have been better off holding on to Zach Wheeler than they would have been Jacob DeGrom.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, at the time when they signed DeGrom, that contract was a steal.
Yeah.
And thankfully, they didn't give him another one. But yeah, I mean, that Zach Wheeler contract was, it's nothing. It's 5 years, $120 million. Like it's nothing. It's a steal. It's the same thing as the first DeGrom contract.
Something that should not go unnoticed here, though, is we talk about with baseball constantly, it's just get into the playoffs. It doesn't matter what you do in the regular season. Year after year, it proves itself more and more and more. The Atlanta Braves were a team and are a team that is completely loaded and was putting up numbers this year in the regular season that we hadn't seen since the 1927 Murderers Row Yankees. Like literally crazy numbers in an era where this isn't 2019 where teams are just going out there and hitting 300 home runs and Jeff McNeil and Brett Gardner are hitting 25 home runs apiece and everybody's just like, oh, there's nothing going on with the baseballs. This is like I don't want to say an all-time choke job, but if they don't win this series, it's definitely one of the bigger upsets in terms of a team going down and not even winning a playoff series that we've seen in baseball in a long time.
And even last season, go back to it. The Braves since June, even though the Dodgers have won 111 games last year, since June, they were the best team in the league in 2022, okay? They hunted down the Mets at the end. They won the division. They were the 2 seed of the National League. Most people, or not most, but a lot of people would have told you the best team in the league at the time was the Atlanta Braves. And that wouldn't have been a crazy thing to say. And they went down to the 6 seed Phillies last year. And the Phillies, dominated the Braves in that series, kind of like we're seeing in this one. So not only this season is it a choke job, but it's last season as well. Just a major, major disappointment from this team if they do go on to lose the series. Obviously, we don't want to talk about it. And we're about to talk about the Dodgers in 1 second because they're down 2-0 in their series. But I want to pose this question to you. Do you think that these teams that get the bye, like how much does this bye affect? Why are they struggling so much?
Well, that's the thing is I was trying to go through this all day of trying to understand, well, is the bye just hurtful rather than helpful? And the data shows and backs up that the bye helps teams. I mean, when you look at teams that have a rest advantage, their win-loss record around the league is higher than teams that have rest disadvantage. You just statistically speaking, it's not a gigantic difference, but there is a slight advantage for teams that have longer days of rest compared to the team that they're playing. Those teams tend to win more than 50% of the time. So the bye clearly is helpful. It's not something that's supposed to be, we don't realize that it's hurting teams. Who knows? Maybe the playoffs are a different story. They have more days to think about it. They get in their own head. I don't know what it is, but it seems like these teams that have the home field advantage and have the rest, they just can't seem to capitalize. And it happens a lot, dude. Like, remember the Indians in oh boy, I'm testing my knowledge right now. I want to say, or 2017, the team that lost to the Yankees in the ALDS with the 22 wins in a row.
Yeah.
That team was like this Braves team, was supposed to walk to the World Series. Didn't happen. It seems to happen every year.
You know, I heard Brandon Hyde, the manager of the Orioles, right before the Ranger series was starting, and the interviewer asked him, do you think this break hurts? And he made an interesting point that this is the longest break you take all season long. Yep. For any team. It's longer than the All-Star break. So it is different, but I see this excuse for the teams about, that have the break, and it just doesn't make sense to me. Because do you think the Philadelphia Phillies wanted to send Ranger Suarez out there in Game 1 at Truist Park? No disrespect to Ranger Suarez. He's had a good season. He's had a really good couple of years for what they need him to do. But do you think that's who they want started Game 1 against Spencer Strider? Of course not. Okay? So this excuse that the bye hurts, figure it out. If you're the teams, figure it out. There will be methods in which, it will change, I'm sure, to get your teams ready while you're going through this bye. But at the end of the day, please stop making this excuse. Okay? Listen, I thought about it last year. Is it possible that these teams are just able to get hot?
Yep.
Because they're playing more games in the wild card round than usual? You're just playing the one game? Maybe that's a theory. But at the end of the day, if you're the better team, if you have the home field advantage and you're able to line your pitching staff the way you want it to be, there's really no excuse here. Well, other than maybe the wild card team is able to get the juices flowing earlier and get hotter faster.
I think it's just, this is baseball. Like, that's baseball, Susan.
Yeah.
Like, literally, this is just baseball. It's a game where there's a million different stupid cliches and sayings, and unfortunately, like, they might be true, is you're only as good as your starting pitcher that day, and you're only as good at what have you done for me lately? You're only as good as how you hit today, and stuff like that's kind of the way it works, and it sucks. It's, a game with the most random outcomes, but that's just the way the cookie crumbles, and it makes you think, like, when you're watching a regular season game and when you're a Met fan watching last year against the Braves and worrying about winning your division, and you're a Yankee fan worrying about winning the division, whatever team you root for, and you're so worried about these regular season games, it makes you think just, okay, are we making the playoffs? Yes. All right. Yeah, whatever.
Well, that's
who cares what happens?
It's funny because I said something early in the season, or even before the season started. I said I want the Mets to have a terrible April and May. Remember when I said this? Yep. And figure it out in June, go on a run, be a wild card team, have low expectations, and go on a run in the postseason.
Yep.
And ended up being true, except they had a terrible June, too, and July and August and September. But the low expectations, the being in the wild card round, it may help. It's just, you're right. Nobody can explain baseball. There's no exact science. If there was, it'd be easy. Right now, the Twins and the Astros are heading to the bottom of the ninth. So hopefully when we're done with the Diamondbacks-Dodgers series quick, after talking about this, that game will be over. But the Astros are up 3-2. They're 3 outs away from advancing to play their division rival Rangers. I can't believe the Dodgers are down 2-0. I mean, I cannot.
Yeah.
It makes absolutely no sense. No disrespect to the D-backs, but it does not make sense to me.
Yeah.
And I got to say this, though, because maybe it shouldn't come as such a surprise. When you talk about the best 1-2 punches in the league, like the Diamondbacks have to be up there, especially with what their two number one starters did this year with Zach Gallen and Merrill Kelly.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Zach Gallen, you follow that guy Pitching Ninja on Twitter?
I saw this with the curveball and the fastball.
The Zach Gallen, we don't realize sometimes when we're watching the game the art of pitching and that guys are sometimes doing things on purpose. You see the guy throw a 95-mile-an-hour fastball not at Freddie Freeman's head, but head level of Freddie Freeman. Easy take for Freeman. And the next pitch, on the same plane, he throws a knuckle curve that ends up spinning right down the middle, and Freeman just buckles at the knees and looks at it because it looked exactly like that fastball that was right at his eyes. So Zach Gallen has some nasty stuff. Merrill Kelly is a guy who has had a pretty underrated couple of years here now. He's been a reliable starter for this team. This Diamondbacks team, man, that offense... Christian Walker is a guy who just kind of went under the radar this year and even last year. And you looked at his numbers from last year. You saw the low average, high home runs. And, we see that come and go, especially at the first base position. And we just figured, all right, nice year for Christian Walker. Congratulations. You did it for the Arizona Diamondbacks in a relevant season. That's not going to happen again this year. Not only did it happen again this year, the guy improved, and he's been hitting some really clutch hits in the postseason. Corbin Carroll is well on his way to being an all-star year in and year out. He's well on his way to being a superstar, an MVP candidate year after year.
He's an MVP candidate this year.
Exactly. The guy is just an explosive athlete, a true five-tool player, just a really fun guy to watch. And this Diamondbacks team, you know, like we said, we're recording this right now. They're in the third inning with this very well. While everybody's listening tomorrow morning, could be a Diamondback sweep. And if it is, holy crap.
Gabriel Moreno, they got him from the Blue Jays, correct? That was their
good job, Blue Jays.
That was their top prospect.
Yep.
What was that trade? It was that Dalton Varsho.
Lourdes Gurriel and Moreno for Varsho.
And Gurriel had a nice year for them. No, at least he started out having a good year.
And at the time, the trade was like, what the hell are the Blue Jays doing?
I think the Blue Jays could have used the 24 homers and 82 RBIs and the 772 OPS.
Yep. And the 23-year-old catcher.
Yeah, that definitely would help them. But it's interesting. They made some moves at the deadline. They added Paul Sewald, right, who was the closer for
He's closing games.
He was the closer for he was having a really good year. Varsho had a terrible year, by the way. Yeah, Sewald was having a good year for the Mariners. They were questioned for that move.
How you like your boy Tommy Pham?
Tommy Pham.
Arizona Mets? Is that what we're seeing right now?
Listen, you know, you could root for them. We don't. Met fans are not in the greatest terms with Paul Sewald, but
what did he do? Did he like?
It was
he didn't flip off the fans. That's Jesse Winker, but he did something.
Winker. It was so weird because he had saved the game in 2022 when he was with the Mariners, and he had just celebrated really obnoxiously, and then after the game was like, they never gave me a chance. I don't know if you remember this. He had a 5 ERA career as a Mets for years.
Relax.
The guy was an irrelevant.
He should have been pitching for the Binghamton Mets. He's lucky he was in the MLB.
Garbage time reliever. Yeah. But the Arizona Mets, 100%. Yeah. So we can root for the Diamondbacks. Listen, they might be my only hope to beat the freaking Phillies or the Braves.
Yeah.
Whoever wins that series.
Because seriously, Diamondbacks, Phillies, could you imagine?
Imagine you told me that before the year started.
Yeah.
And I'd have Rangers, Astros.
I'd have to get you sent to a hospital immediately to get evaluated.
Oh, my God, that's nuts.
Did you bang your head? Are you all right?
No.
Phillies, Diamondbacks?
Diamondbacks are actually here, guys. Yeah. And now we've got a final in Minnesota. The Houston Astros, for the 7th straight year, are going to be headed to the ALCS. So, big congrats to them, right, JM? Let's give them a nice congratulations. Go Stros. Like you mentioned before, the Battle of Texas now in the ALCS, and we'll see who comes out on top. Go Stros, baby. Let's go. Gave out the Stros to a bunch of my friends as a AL winner. They had decent odds.
I'm just glad I haven't heard anything about Mattress Mac or anything this postseason.
Oh, no, you must have missed it then. God. By the way, there must be something sticky on this back of the chair because I just got stuck to it. But anyway.
Pause.
So he was supposed to throw out the first pitch.
No, we don't know. This is fine. We don't have to talk about this. I was I was happy.
No, it's actually an interesting story.
No, I was happy I didn't hear about some old dude who owns a mattress company who bets millions of dollars.
He's cool
on baseball.
He's cool.
We don't have to.
It's not just on it's not just baseball. But anyway, he was supposed to throw out the first pitch one of the games.
But we're gonna talk about
and MLB had to shoot it down. You know why?
Because nobody gives a crap about.
No, people definitely give a crap about Mattress Mac, but they had to shoot it down because MLB is partnered with Mattress Firm, and that was not allowed. So there we go. That's why we had...
what a riveting story. I'm going to make that's going to be the thumbnail of this podcast. I think we're going to name it Mattress Mac in a Drama Mattress War.
I thought you would have liked that because MLB can't have fun and they had to shoot it down.
I don't care who thinks I'm miserable, because I am miserable about Houston Astros. I don't give a crap about anything that organization does.
They own you, so that's really it.
They do.
Wow, the Diamondbacks up 3-0 right now
Christ.
In the bottom of the third. Holy crap. So if they finish this off, they will be headed to the NLCS to play the winner of the Braves and Phils.
Let's see how they do it.
That's crazy. We are going to move off of baseball now before you do it. What?
They hit 3 home runs in the third inning. I was going to say, the Los Angeles Dodgers, a team that is known to just be such a great organization.
Still on baseball.
And, just real quick.
I'm kidding. I'll talk baseball all night.
We're throwing out Lance Lynn, who looks like he just got picked up off the street. He's the guy who's in your local pizza shop. he's got grease all over his shirt.
Hold on a minute.
Looks like this is not an athlete. All right, all my Shane Gillis fans out there, he looks like freaking old Charlie, like Shane Gillis talks about in his segment.
Hold on a minute.
47-year-old alcoholic Lance Lynn is out here trying to save the Dodger season. What are we doing?
Hold on a minute, okay? Lance Lynn was a pretty decent size trade option at the deadline, okay?
Yeah, with his 6.5 ERA coming to the Dodgers.
All right, no. So when he first got to the Dodgers, he was off to like a crazy start.
Yeah,
people were like, how do they fix these pitchers? Ended up being not terrible. He had a 4.36 ERA.
Yeah, how'd that go?
Won 7 games.
Yeah. Season on the line, I want Lance Lynn.
Well, what are they going to do?
Build a better team.
Who do you want? Kershaw?
Build a better team. Oh, sorry.
Another home run?
I was just on the live feed. Gabriel Moreno, home run.
Wow, 4 home runs in the inning.
Good job, Blue Jays.
That's going to be it for the Dodgers here.
All the guys we just talked about with like Moreno and Walker, like they just hit home runs. So
yeah.
We just looked smart.
And by the way, like, yeah, there's stops in the recordings. We didn't go back in time. Like, that was before. That was legit.
No. That'd be cool if we could go back in time, though.
We can if we want. We can make it seem like we go back in time.
All right, if you went back in time, what's like the first thing you're doing? Don't make it weird. Where are you going? You can't like. We're taking away anything like you can't mess with any of like the space-time continuum. You can't mess with any major events.
I don't know what that means.
Like everybody goes back and says like, oh, like I'd kill baby Hitler or something like that. Like that doesn't count.
That's crazy.
Not to get weird with
I would,
but that like that you can't do anything like that.
Simple.
It's got to be personal to you.
It's so simple. I would go look at a lottery ticket.
No,
make sure I get that lottery ticket.
I would go back to the time that I went to my first Jets game and say, "Hey, buddy, just put on this Patriots hat real quick."
Giants. No. Giants. Be a Giants fan.
Nope.
I don't know. I mean, I really have to think about that. I don't know. Maybe not be a Mets fan. Maybe not be a Giants fan.
Yeah. Yeah. Those are both good.
I think I would have cared more about school. I wouldn't have ate crap every night.
Yeah.
And
good run. Oh, hold on. In-play runs real quick for the...
Jeez, 5-0. I would have became a Dodger fan.
Hold on. Maybe it's the same home run. Yeah, they're just showing it again.
Oh, good. Good job MLB game day. 4-0, by the way. Dodgers done. Dodgers are dead.
Wait a minute.
But all seriousness, they did lose all these pitchers. I mean, they lost Dustin May. They lost Walker Buehler.
Yeah.
Like, what are they going to do? They built the team.
Yeah.
Just didn't go the way planned in the postseason. All right, football, because we spent way too much time on baseball. Little football here, obviously, heading to week 6. But let's talk a little bit about week 5, because the biggest game of the week, you had it, 2-star, nailed it. Mm-hmm. The 49ers just destroyed the Dallas Cowboys, 42-10. I think the biggest question now, the two biggest questions are, because we know the 49ers are the best team in the league. Like, that's not a debate anymore. It's the 49ers.
Right.
But I think the question is two questions. One, is Purdy an elite quarterback? And two, are the Dallas Cowboys overrated? I'll take an L. I was wrong on the Cowboys again. Okay, I believed in them again.
All right.
They're
Don't
not
go
good.
there yet, because
no, I've
they
seen
like.
enough.
Yes, they looked awful, and Dak is the real story here. I wouldn't just say the Cowboys, and I know the team is led by the quarterback, but I'm more concerned about Dak than this Cowboys team right now. What I would say about Purdy, I'm not willing to say he's an elite quarterback yet, because there's still not enough track record there.
Sure.
But what I will say is, give the guy more credit for how he's playing, and let's stop. And I'm a victim of it myself. I've said, it's the system, it's this and that. He hasn't really impressed me. And honestly, the most I saw of Brock Purdy in a game was against the Giants, and that was one of his worst games that he's played in his career.
He was not really good in that game.
Did not look great against the Giants, but I mean, that Cowboys game, you cannot watch that game and say that this guy is not making impressive throws on the field. Like, you still got to deliver it. I don't care what you put around a quarterback. He's still the one who's throwing the ball. He's got to deliver. He delivered and then some. He was creating in that game against the Cowboys.
There becomes a time where, sure, guys are playing really well in their system, but you almost forget about it because you just see them playing so well consistently. It's like, okay, this guy's just a really good player.
Yeah.
And the thing with Purdy, and you could compare it to other quarterbacks that have played in this system, look at Trey Lance. Trey Lance couldn't figure it out, right? Jimmy Garoppolo, like, sure, he was at his best in San Francisco, and he was a solid quarterback over there, but is he great? No, go watch the guy play in freaking Vegas. He's terrible.
Yeah.
Okay? Brock Purdy reads the defense well. He throws the ball where it has to be. And by the way, he may not be great running the football, but he's got great feet within the pocket. So I think the one thing about Purdy, he might not be able to make all the throws. I mean, right now, what they're asking him to do, he's making all those throws, and he's accurate. But mentally, he reads the defense well. He knows where the ball has to go. He plays well on the offense. There's no doubt about it. You look at every statistical number, this guy is one of the better quarterbacks in the league today.
Yep. I think that we need to focus our shift now on Mr. Dak Prescott.
Sure.
And
I'm always
what
willing.
we just saw. So I'm just going to skip all the possible things that we could talk about with how did he look and this and that. It's very obvious that the guy looked awful, and it looks like the turnover problems are back and this and that. I'm going to ask you, what quarterbacks in this league, I'm just putting you on the spot right now, would you take Dak Prescott over? And I'm going to skip all your Justin Herberts and your Patrick Mahomeses and guys like that. In the NFC, I'll start off with, I don't want to go too hard on you. Kirk Cousins. Who are you taking?
Right now?
Right now.
For the rest of the year.
Rest of the year.
Kirk Cousins.
Okay. Matt Stafford.
Matt Stafford.
Geno Smith.
Geno Smith.
Wow. I kind of tend to agree with all of these so far. Don't
even say Goff.
Goff.
Not even a question. Jared.
One thing about Goff, he's great. They're a different team at home versus on the road. Like, he really is Mr. I love playing in a dome. It's kind of crazy.
In 2 games we've seen him on the road in difficult situations in both. I've seen this guy win the game and play pretty damn well, especially in Green Bay.
Yeah, but credit the running game too.
I'll credit the running game, but this guy...
That Green Bay game was running game. That Kansas City game was running game.
But it's the same thing. We're doing the same thing now.
Yeah.
We're nitpicking.
Yes.
You want to say the same thing about Purdy?
But Dak was put in a bad spot the other day. I'm not trying to come out here and defend Dak and say that, he wasn't the reason they lost. Like, he was a huge reason why they lost. But that Lions offensive line is probably the best in the NFL.
Yeah, well, F him. I want to hate on him because he's proved me wrong 2 years in a row now. This guy last year had a turnover problem, okay? And many people believed this was just an aberration. It's not. He may have a turnover problem, okay? I know the offensive line's banged up, but still, you have weapons around you. They've gone out and gave you weapons. Right. Brandon Cooks has done nothing this season, okay? Michael Gallup, who's supposed to be, a better number 3 wide receiver than most, has done nothing. CeeDee Lamb hasn't done much. I mean, what are we doing here? What is this offense? We gave Mike McCarthy all this credit for
Tony
the first
Pollard's
few
not
weeks.
performing the way that you're hoping for him to perform also. They can't get him in the end zone.
Like, what is the
They
problem
just seem to have
here?
no idea that what they're doing out there. Mike McCarthy just seems completely lost.
Yeah.
Cooks is the biggest thing for me. Cooks is like, what the hell are we doing? This is a guy that's known in his career to be Mr. Consistent. You look away from, it's like, watching a movie. You look away from Brandon Cooks. You look back and you're like, whoa, this guy's got 1,000 yards. He seems to do it just year after year. He's not getting 40 yards in a game right now.
It's so concerning what's going on here. So maybe this is just the way the career is going for him. Maybe if the offensive line isn't perfectly healthy, maybe if there isn't a top 5 running game here, maybe he's not the same guy.
Right.
I don't know. And again, I know we're nitpicking here, but things aren't going perfectly right now. What is this guy? And Geno Smith has some things going on, right? They don't have the greatest offensive line.
So can you win with Dak?
I think you can win. What's the question though? Like, can you win with Dak with things going right?
Can you win a Super Bowl with Dak Prescott as your quarterback, whether your roster is the worst in the NFL or the best in the NFL?
Yes,
can you win a Super Bowl with Dak Prescott?
Absolutely win a Super Bowl with Dak Prescott. I believe that still. But there are many
I believed
other
that
guys,
for a really long time. I'm starting not to believe it anymore.
There are other guys that I would take right now over him, though. Guys are passing him on that list. Goff is passing me on the list. I feel so strongly about this Detroit Lions team right now. And again, a lot of it is what they got going for them. But I don't feel as comfortable with Dak right now, especially with the current situation.
But what I would say about Dak is when he came up, when he had that amazing preseason and ended up stealing the job from Tony Romo and basically forced the guy into retirement, he was known for his ability to protect the football, to not turn it over, to throw low interceptions. Now he's becoming a guy where it seems like they're improving his role in the offense year after year and trying to let him air it out more and more, and turnovers are coming with that. So it makes you think, was this guy just the type of player like we talk about with your Daniel Joneses and guys like that, where, you build a simplified offense around him and just tell him to take care of the football and make plays with his legs, and he does a good job of that, but is he capable of taking an offense to a next level?
But I got to look at when Kellen Moore got there.
He did it that one year in 2021 or 2020, whatever year it was, when he threw 40 touchdowns. But is it a Dak problem? Is it a Mike McCarthy problem? Is it both? I probably think it's both. I don't know what the hell they were thinking with allowing Mike McCarthy to take over the place here. I hated that Mike McCarthy coach signing in the first place, and it's gone through its ups and downs and said maybe it was the right hire, maybe it wasn't the right hire. I still don't think it was the right hire. And I hate the fact that he's calling plays.
But my reasoning and defense for him calling plays was that Dak, I didn't think, could handle the oversimplified offense that Kellen Moore was trying to run with him. I didn't think he was capable of that. He got worse when things got more complicated. When you look at him early in Kellen Moore's tenure, when you look at him early in his career, it was simple. Running the ball, get the ball, where the guys are open, simplified offense.
Right.
This is what I thought they would be going to.
Right.
Back to that, run the ball, be good, don't make mistakes with Mike McCarthy calling the plays. They just haven't been.
They're also doing way too much zone running, which is really weird considering how great their offensive line is. I feel like they're afraid to run outside of the tackles. And you have a running back in Tony Pollard, who's one of the fastest running backs in the league.
Out there.
And you have great tackles on your team. You have Brandon Steele, who you just gave this big extension to. And it just seems like they're afraid. Obviously, it starts with running inside the tackles, but you also want to run outside the tackles a little bit and use that speed of this running back room that was the biggest criticism of them in the offseason was there's not a lot of power, thick running backs on this team. There's a lot of guys who are just burners.
And they considered bringing Zeke back.
Yeah.
And by the way, we're talking about the offense. The defense still has the same problems as last season. They can't stop the run. You can gash this team. No matter who you are. We saw, and listen, give the Cardinals credit. They've played well. But the Cardinals gashed them. They're playing well up front. But you can beat this team up front.
And you know what? We sit here and we praise Micah Parsons. Trent Williams had his way with Micah Parsons last week. I mean, if Trent Williams walked up to Canton, Ohio right now, they'd roll out the red carpet for him and say, please, welcome. Pick wherever you want to have your bus put, please.
Yeah, listen, Micah Parsons, we haven't really heard his name the last few weeks.
Yeah.
They lost to Arizona. You talked about it, how they were able to contain him. They ran right at him. Against Dallas, I don't really know what he did against Dallas, but I haven't heard his name much. Only defending Daniel Jones every week. But what has he done? We want to talk about
what
this
have you done for me lately?
Exactly. So.
And that's why what I said last week when we say after every game, we say, oh, this is an ultimatum for this team. This team is this good and blah, 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 blah. It changes after every single week.
Yeah. And, let's move on here, though. Rest of the NFC, because the rest of the NFC is NFC is better than we thought.
Yeah.
Right? I think there's a lot of teams here.
Especially at the top.
Especially at the top. You have the two best teams in football. But I'm ready to call the Detroit Lions a top 5 football team in this league. I think they are one of the more well-coached teams in this league. Their offensive line may be the best offensive line in football, if not the second best offensive line in football.
Them are the Eagles.
What they're able to do offensively with that offensive line, they could do anything they want. And Jared Goff is running this offense. We forget Jared Goff went to the Super Bowl. Yes, he had really good weapons and a really good coach. What's the difference right now? They have who will 100%, teams will be lining up, inviting Ben Johnson, their offensive coordinator, to be the head coach of their team at the offseason. Whoever fires their head coach first, that's going to be the team that wants this guy, unless Jim Harbaugh comes back. But this is going to be the guy that people want. They are so well coached offensively. They have the best offensive line in the league, one of them. They have really good weapons. Like this team, I am a full-blown believer in this Detroit Lions team. They're going to win this division going away. They're the third best team in the NFC. And I think the gap between the 49ers and the Eagles is bigger than the gap between the Eagles and the Lions.
What? You're going crazy. First of all, did I just hear you say that they're a top 5 team in football? Is that what you just said about the Detroit Lions? They're a top 5 team in football.
I have to check my power rankings. Pretty sure I had
They
them
are,
5.
and that second statement about the difference between them and the Eagles versus the Eagles and the 49ers is just objectively not true. I mean, yes, this Lions team is playing great football, and I agree with what you said that they are, yeah. After Dallas's performance last week, I'd agree that they are better than Dallas, and they're the third best team in the NFC.
Not even a question.
But hold your horses a little bit, relax. Let's not ignore this cakewalk schedule that the Detroit Lions have been on here, okay? You win the Kansas City game without Travis Kelce and without Chris Jones and with Kadarius Toney not knowing how to catch a football. Not going to take it away from them. They played a good game. A win is a win in the NFL. A win against the defending champs on the road. That's a great win. You lose to the Seahawks, who are a team that seem like to still be struggling to find their identity right now. Like
we know what the Seahawks are. They're a good football
They're
team.
playing good football, but we're still waiting for them to kind of catch their stride a little bit. Then you play Atlanta at home, the Packers on the road, who look like a bad football team right now, and the 0-5 Panthers at home. So yes, they're playing good football, but I'm not gonna come out here like it's a little ridiculous to come out and say that, especially that the gap between them and the Eagles and the Niners and the Niners are here. People can't see what I'm doing that are listening right now, but the Niners are at the top and the Eagles are right there. And I'm very excited to watch these two teams play against each other because I think they're the only two teams that could beat each other in the NFC right now.
From what we've seen so far, I think that's crazy to say.
Why?
Because, again, Philadelphia is winning games. They know how to win games, and they're fantastic up front. But we've seen some weaknesses from this team. They're not blowing teams out of the water like we're seeing San Francisco do. Like, I think when you watch these two teams separately, it is clear that the 49ers are better than this team. And we haven't seen this Eagles team hit their stride yet, and they're about to play a tough part of their schedule after this week against the Jets. It's...
You mean now?
No, after this week.
Like now.
After this week against the Jets, they'll be starting, I'm pretty sure, their tough part of their schedule.
I mean, and I'm excited to see that part of the schedule because I think that's really going to reveal what this team's about. But the same thing with your precious Detroit Lions right now. They got the Bucs on the road, which is going to be a really good game. It's that new game of the week, and I think it's going to be a much closer game than maybe some other people think. Mm-hmm. Then they got the Ravens on the road. Those are two games that I'm very much looking forward to. And then after that, you got the Raiders, Chargers on the road. So these next 3 out of 4 are going to be a real test for the Lions. They got 3 really good football teams to play on the road.
I'm excited.
Maybe not really good for the Bucs, but I like the Bucs.
I'm a believer in this Detroit Lions team. I mean, 100% a believer. Let's talk about a team I'm not a believer in, okay? It's the New England Patriots.
No, really?
Yeah, I've said multiple times on this podcast that I do like Mac Jones. I was a Mac Jones fan. Defended him. Yeah, I'll take an L on that too. Listen, I say when I'm right and I'm saying when I'm wrong. I'm honest, okay? Mac Jones may not be very good. Now, Dan Orlovsky still thinks he's pretty good. He could be good in other spots. I don't think so. I think Mac Jones is just bad. I also don't think he's got a lot working for him right now. But Mac Jones is not a very good quarterback. Can I ask you a hypothetical question before we get to if Bill Belichick should be gone or not?
Sure.
Let's say Bill Belichick is gone. Okay. Hypothetical. He's gone. And let's bring it back to my team here quick, because he used to coach for my team. He won the Super Bowl a very long time ago.
Yep.
This question was posed to me today by a friend. He asked me, he said, let's say the Giants have the number 1 overall pick, and you're considering letting go Brian Daboll, and you can bring in Bill Belichick.
Don't.
Do you let go of Daboll and do you hire Bill Belichick? My answer will surprise you.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to say, do you trade the pick for Belichick?
No.
Oh, Jesus. Okay.
Do you let go of Daboll and bring in Bill Belichick? My answer will surprise you, and it would surprise a lot of others. I said no. I will not. I will stick it with Daboll. Stick it out with Daboll. I've seen Bill Belichick try and win in a very unconventional, old-school way the past few years.
Honestly, as much as I'd love to just say, rip on you right now, I kind of agree because what's the point in, I think we're going a little overboard here with the whole, like, Belichick's nothing without Brady and this or that. Like,
100%.
Mac Jones sucks. Like, I don't care, like, if you're Dan Orlovsky or if you're Michael Merlo and you just said that you were wrong, but if you're anybody else that's a believer in Mac Jones sucks. Like, I'm sorry. The guy was not an overwhelmingly great prospect coming out of college. You just knew what you were getting. He's a guy who's an outdated prospect. If this was 20 years ago, he might be the first pick in the draft because he's so good at pocket passing and he's so accurate. But unfortunately, that's not how the game's played anymore. You need to actually have legs under you and awareness to extend plays and move in this league now.
That was mean.
So, I'm sorry, Mac Jones. I'm sorry if I hurt your feelings. I would say no because I didn't finish my Belichick point. Your little comment threw me off there. Bill Belichick is not the only reason why Mac Jones failed. I don't think a lot of coaches could have done great things with Mac Jones. And ask Kyle Shanahan, who we love to anoint as this like quarterback whisperer and having this great system. They very well could have drafted Mac Jones number 3 overall and instead chose Trey Lance. Nice pick,
there's a debate on who actually wanted it, and I'm pretty who wanted Trey Lance and who wanted Mac Jones. A lot of people thought that Shanahan wanted Jones to run the offense.
Right. Possible.
Could have been possible.
But
you're right. Right now, in the current situation that Mac Jones is dealing with, it's almost impossible to succeed.
Right.
I mean, it's not a good situation. The weapons aren't there. The offensive line is just bad.
But why do it with Belichick, too? Like, yeah, he's done a great job in New England over the years. He's, maybe the best coach of all time.
He's the greatest coach of all time.
He had, the greatest quarterback of all time. So it's always up for debate of, who needed who more. I think obviously at this point we know that Belichick needed Brady more than Brady needed Belichick.
And I think Belichick would have admitted that, too.
Yeah.
And I think he has
But you
admitted
ask
that.
any player, they have that whole Patriot way about them. And, Belichick is clearly a guy who knows what he's doing. He was one of the best coordinators in the league, like you said, with the Giants and his brief stint with the Jets. To say that you wouldn't take Belichick, though, now I'm still trying to make a decision on this because I hadn't thought about this yet. So you're saying you literally fire Brian Daboll and bring in Bill Belichick if you could do that.
Yeah.
Would you do it?
Yeah. And you have the number 1 overall pick. You're going to draft a quarterback. You're going to, essentially restart.
I know this sounds crazy. Like, I'm sure there's plenty of people listening right now that are like, what the hell are you talking about? Take Bill Belichick. The only thing that worries me is bringing in that rookie quarterback, Caleb Williams. And by the way, if this is a scenario for the Giants, I don't care who you have. You're doing cartwheels right now because you're getting Caleb Williams.
I will do the cartwheels.
Yeah, just
I know how to.
I'm gonna have to train for a little bit. I don't know.
No,
if I've
I
ever
can
seen
do a
you
cartwheel. I can do a cartwheel.
You definitely can't do it.
I can 100% do a cartwheel.
All right, we're gonna hold you to that.
Yes.
Maybe
you can get a video of me doing.
Take
a
video
cartwheel.
of yourself doing a cartwheel.
No, you could do the video so it doesn't look, so you don't pretend it's edited or you don't claim.
Okay.
Yeah. Cartwheel. Me. Done.
Yeah, I'm doing it. I'm taking Belichick. Change my mind.
I'm not. I'm
get
not.
There like it's Bill Belichick. You gotta take
for a second. Yeah, it's Bill Belichick. You make it sound so easy.
But I'll tell you right now. Don't let Bill Belichick draft. Please. The guy is not a good GM. He's a good coach, not a good GM. That's awful drafter.
That's the problem. And for in a realistic situation, and we're talking about the Patriots, like if they're going to move on with Bill Belichick, can let him be the coach. Then if Robert Kraft does not make him resign here, they have to at least strip him of being the general manager. They have to. They have no choice. For the betterment of this franchise, he has to stop being the general manager of this team.
You know what they're going to do, though, right? If Belichick's the coach.
What?
First move, Cole Beasley, max contract extension. Max. I mean, fits perfectly. He's the next Wes Welker, the next Julian Edelman.
Right.
No,
I would actually like that.
Leshevsky.
No, I would like that.
Yeah.
I want. They just actually, they opened his window to practice. He's back.
Thank God.
He's back.
Guys, Cole Beasley's here to save the Giants. There's this free agent wide receiver. They actually get this Kenny Golladay guy. He's really good.
Yeah, says the one that's the fan of the team that actually worked them out.
Yeah, well, they worked them out. And they were like, "Do you believe the Giants signed this guy?"
Yeah, literally. The whole league was probably
yeah. I mean, I would. I don't know how to feel about this Belichick thing. Like, are we actually seeing the end of the road of Bill Belichick as the Patriots head coach?
I think we're seeing the end of the road of Bill Belichick. I think we're seeing the end of the road in college of Nick Saban. I think we're seeing a lot of the end of the roads here. We've seen, listen, let's not.
Saban, that's bold too.
I don't want to get too dark here, but everything comes to an end.
Yeah.
Everything comes to an end. And the reign of winning the way these guys have won all their career. Like, football is updating. Football is changing.
What have you done for me lately?
Right, and I think about it from a Giant standpoint too. It's like the owner is just stuck in the dark ages. Yep. Belichick is stuck in the dark ages of football when he was winning championships. And again, it helps when you have the elite quarterback. But
how does Bill Belichick talk? What does he sound? What does he sound like again?
So I was. Before Wes Welker was on New Heights.
No, Julian Edelman.
Julian
Wrong
Edelman.
white slot receiver.
Julian Edelman was on with the Kelseys on their podcast, and he was imitating Belichick. And I said, Jam, I do a good imitation of Edelman doing Belichick. Pause. And so here it is. I can't do it without cursing, though. Listen, man, I don't know what the F you've been up to, but why are you running an in route? You're supposed to run an out route here. And, like, I don't think Edelman, I can't see Edelman, like,
honestly,
impression being good.
I think you're a very funny person, and I don't think you're really known for your impressions.
I'm good with impressions.
That was one of your good impressions, I will say.
I'm pretty good with doing other impressions. I could do Susan Waldman.
You just scream like you're a bat out of hell when you're doing Susan Waldman.
No, there's a way to do Susan.
I don't really want to hear your Susan Waldman right now. I've heard it before.
We won't do Susan Waldman. But yeah, that impression's good. Anyway, enough football here. We've done a lot of football, and there's some interesting games this week. We'll talk about a few of them when we do the gambling show that comes out later in the week. But interesting games, not interesting games, who gives a rat's ass? We're going to the Jet game, Jet-Eagle game. Going to be on the field.
Let's go.
That's hot.
Hammered.
So, very excited for that. And listen, let's go Jets.
Yeah.
Jets, Jets this week.
Passed MetLife today on my drive home.
Oh, look at
Pretty
you.
Nice, yeah. Got me fired up.
Yeah, the worst drive in the world.
Yeah, no, it is the worst drive in the world.
Yeah. Good thing we'll be
beautiful
driving.
Scenery. Oh my God, the swamplands and the oil refineries.
No, but you got the mall there. The mall's right there.
The mall's there. Thank God.
The mall.
Yeah, Black Friday game. Good luck at that Black Friday game. Mall of America or Great American Mall, whatever. No,
you're not going anywhere.
I don't know.
Before the year, you were going.
Yeah,
I remember week 1. You called me when you were going to Jersey, and you were like, "I think we're going."
Yeah, no.
That's the one of the things that goes unnoticed. The amount of money fans spend for this season for the Jets season tickets, trips planned, games you're planning to go to. Yep. Rodgers going down, it all gets ruined.
You know what they charge for parking? $75.
For when?
For the Jets games.
Just in
Jets
general?
Eagles this weekend, $75.
Shut the F up.
Yep.
I'd tell them, I'd spit in their face.
Yeah. Wow.
All right, anyway, let's move on here to baloncesto. That's how you say basketball in Spanish.
What the hell? Yeah, I was like, what did you just say?
Baloncesto. I think that's how you say it.
Oh, jeez.
But either way, listen, I'm passing Spanish now. I was failing about a few days ago. Now passing.
Thank God.
We up.
Yeah,
we're
really
good.
Doing great. He knows how to say basketball.
Let's go. Not because of that, because of some other things.
How do you say I'm an idiot in Spanish?
I don't know.
Yo soy idioto?
Yo no sé. Wow, it's actually not bad Spanish, but I don't think idioto's a word. Either way, we're talking basketball, and like we mentioned before, one of the most debated topics of all time is your top 10 list in the NBA, your greatest players of all time. And we agree on number 1. I know we agree on number 1. That's like a, I don't know, what word am I looking for? That's like a, I don't want to say cultural, like just a thing that we truly believe in.
Right. We're Bron sexuals a little bit.
Wow. Yeah, sure.
We are. I'm a LeBron sexual. Yeah,
we love LeBron. And I think, people that don't like LeBron or don't respect LeBron the way he should be respected, you're idiots.
Yeah.
But either way, we're gonna give our top 10 list here. We're gonna debate. I'm sure JM's gonna scream at me, so we'll see. JM, why don't you start with 10?
My number 10 is one of the 2 active players on this list. It is Mr. Stephen Curry of the Golden State Warriors, the greatest shooter that this game has ever seen. Number 10, and I think he's creeped his way into the top 10 over the past couple years. That championship he got over Boston a couple years ago, I think was really cemented it for me. So Steph Curry, number 10.
Yeah, we really disagree on that one. We'll be screaming and yelling about that in a little bit. Right. My number 1 is...
the 10. Number 10.
My bad.
Don't go to 1.
Listen, it's been a long day. Number 10, Tim Duncan.
Wow. All right, bad start.
Tim Duncan is number 10. What do they call him? Mr. Fundamentals?
Yeah, big fundies.
Big fundies.
No, that's not what they call him.
They don't call him Mr. Fundamental?
No, they don't call him big fundies, but I like that word. I think it's funny.
That's Keith Hernandez.
That's what I call guys in 2K that are like post scorers and are like old heads playing.
No, you're stealing it from Keith Hernandez.
It's big fundies. That's like funny.
Yeah. No, fundies.
I don't know. I don't care about
fundamentals.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my God, you're smart. You just put that together?
Yeah, that's
Wow.
what Keith Hernandez says. Either way, Tim Duncan, not the most exciting basketball player of all time, but truly one of the best. Played on, I guess you can call it a dynasty or just one of the greatest runs ever for as long as the Spurs did it for with Greg Popovich. Won a ton of championships. Yeah, I have Tim Duncan at 10.
Yeah, moronic. Okay. Number 9, I have Mr. Rest in peace, Bill Russell of the Boston Celtics.
He passed away.
Oh my God! You did not just say that.
Did he? Am I that out of touch?
This is a bad look for the show. Are you serious?
Is it recent?
They literally, it was like a year ago. They literally, every NBA team wore a 6 on their jersey this year for Bill Russell.
Oh, yes.
Well, who'd you think that was for?
No.
Landry Fields?
I didn't notice that, but I do. Okay, now I remember. Okay. But it's not because of the 6. I don't remember noticing that. But I do remember he passed away. This is
going to take 45 minutes.
Yes. Okay.
Bill Russell, number 9. My logic there is, I know people might have him higher. I've seen him as high as 3 on these lists. What are we doing?
Those people are idiots.
I think you're going to see a clear bias for me towards the players that played before, like, the 1970s here. So that's why I have him as low as 9.
Alrighty. Number 9 for me, and I actually would have liked to get him higher on this list, but I couldn't work it. Okay, Shaquille O'Neal.
What?
One of the more dominant basketball players of all time. A guy that you truly could not stop. Okay,
9.
Just impossible to stop. Okay, Shaquille O'Neal, number 9. Can't tell the story of basketball without this guy. One of the greatest players of all time. Legitimately, you could not stop this guy. Unguardable.
Yeah, you would think he'd be higher than 9 on this list, but no, of course not.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Really?
All right, number 8.
You're going to see how the list works here, and then you'll see why he's 9.
Right. Okay.
There's a reason to this. There's a method. There's a method to this madness.
Number 8. Once again, might be a little hot take. I don't care. Played too long ago. Number 8, Wilt Chamberlain of the Los Angeles Lakers / Golden State Warriors. Had a, little stints there. I think they might have been the... I don't want to say California Warriors. They might have been something else, not Golden State when he was playing for them. But anyways, Wilt Chamberlain is number 8. Guy had 100-point season, 100-point game, which I believe was true. There's a lot of people out there that say that wasn't true. There's no documentation of it, and there wasn't no a 3-point line and this and that. He dropped 100 points. Cry about it. Unfortunately, he was playing with a bunch of plumbers, so that's why he was able to average 50 points and 25 rebounds. Not to take it away from the guy, was a phenomenal basketball player. What more could he have done? That's the same argument I use with Babe Ruth and guys like that who had these stats that were so far and above everybody else. What else did you want the guy to do? So Wilt Chamberlain was probably born in the wrong generation. I think he would still be a great player. In today's NBA, I don't think he'd be the best player in the league, but I think he would certainly be an all-star caliber player. So I'm giving him his respect as being a top 10 player of all time, but 8's as high as I'm going to put him.
Yeah, well, I am one of those conspiracy theorists, I think.
That he did not score 100?
There's no proof.
Okay.
No proof. Anyway, 8 is Bill Russell. You kind of mentioned it before. I saw this guy so high on this list. And again, rest in peace. I'm not trying to disrespect the guy. But, he's not 4, he's not 5, he's not 6, he's not 7. He's closer to the bottom of the top 10 here. Obviously, has the most championships, but he played so long ago. Great defender, great rebounder. I think the scoring would be a little higher, but it wasn't. Only averaged about 16, close to 16 points a game. We'll go Russell at 8. I think that's enough respect there.
All right, my number 7 is, by the way, it's The Big Fundamental is the official nickname. Tim Duncan, longtime San Antonio Spurs.
You made me think I was wrong. I just made that up out of my...
Well, you said Mr. Fundamental. I said Big Fundy, Big Fundamental. Okay? You said Mr. Fundamental, so you were wrong. Apologize. Anyways.
I wasn't wrong. I was right.
By the way, you ever look on Basketball References nicknames? Apparently, he was called the Big Fundamental, Groundhog Day, Old Man Riverwalk, and the Stone Buddha. Not sure I heard any of those before besides Timmy and the Big Fundamental, but very impressive resume over his career, Tim Duncan, and a guy who at the end of his career, like, don't get me wrong, everybody knew he was a Hall of Famer. Everybody knew all the championships, but still for some reason felt a little underrated. And he still feels that way, but I'm not underrating him here. I got him as the 7th best player to ever play the game.
Yeah,
crazy
clearly.
resume, 15-time All-NBA, 15-time All-Star, 15-time All-Defensive. A lot of 15 times here. 2-time MVP. He's got an All-Star Game MVP. He's got 5 championships. He beat LeBron and that amazing Miami Heat Big Three team. Don't get me wrong, he had Tony Parker, Kawhi, and Manu Ginobili and some other guys on that team, but he was the main focus of that team. Tim Duncan, the 7th best player to ever play the game and the best power forward of all time.
Wow, very nice. Okay. In a positionless basketball now, we basically play.
Yes, forward or center or guard.
We play positionless basketball. Okay, number 7, Magic Johnson. Okay? And listen, you know, this might sound crazy.
Oh, it's hurt. This is starting to hurt.
Mike, who do you got ahead of him? Well, we're going to get to that in a minute.
He's going to do it. He's going to do it.
Magic Johnson, one of the greatest basketball players of all time. Undoubtedly. 3-time MVP. 3-time Finals MVP. Okay? But there's somebody at the position better than him. There just is. I'm sorry, folks. I'm sorry, old heads. There is somebody better than him, okay? Not disrespecting the guy, not disrespecting the old heads. Magic was great. He's the 7th greatest player of all time. Cry about it. Okay.
Yeah, that's what they call me, Magic Johnson. For other reasons.
You know, like, this is a kid show, okay? This is a kid show. All right? Get to your 6th greatest player of all time, please.
Oh, sorry. It was like an alley-oop. I just had to dunk it with that joke.
I mean,
all right. Number 6, the man who is maybe the weirdest player in NBA history because he just, like, worked on his farm and was just a weird guy and just gave you buckets with his super high shorts. Larry Buckets. I'm going Larry Bird, the greatest Celtic of all time, Larry Bird. You know, kind of paved the blueprint for a guy like KD where he was just such a great overall scorer coming from that forward position. And we know about all the championships and we know just how great that Celtics dynasty was when Larry Bird was there and with Kevin McHale and the great teammates that he had in Boston. But Larry Bird, man, is a little underappreciated as an overall scorer. I still think he's the best scorer of all time overall. I don't care about the cumulative stats of, you know, LeBron was a great scorer and MJ is a great scorer. LeBron and MJ is a great scorer. But in terms of overall scoring from the small forward position, I'm going to still give it to Larry Bird. So he's my number 6 and ready to crack the top 5 for myself.
Yeah, we're about to get to the top 5. I'm very excited. My number 6 is Stephen Curry, the greatest point guard of all time. You know, we talk about some of the most important players in this league, in the history of the league. Stephen Curry is one of those guys. He may be the most influential player of all time. 2-time MVP. He finally got his MVP in the finals when they beat Boston. He should have probably gotten one before them. He's won the championship 4 times. I mean, how much more do I have to say? This guy revolutionized the game of basketball. He changed the way everybody plays basketball. Everybody. Okay, we have centers. We have big men starting to shoot threes. We judge these players now on whether or not they are able to shoot the 3 ball. All kids want to do at the park, shoot 3 balls. I don't think there's ever been a more influential player for a certain sport more than Steph Curry, and he's the greatest of all time at it.
That you are not wrong. Stephen Curry has no doubt changed the game, and not only for guards who are pulling up from 30 feet more now, but now you have, it's just the way the game is attacked. It's shoot more threes. Centers are shooting threes now. So you're not wrong there, but you are wrong with having him as your 6th best player of all time. You're wrong with having him as the greatest point guard of all time. It's just a little far-fetched for me because as much as I love Steph Curry, he's maybe my favorite player of all time, him or LeBron, but the guy doesn't have that same overall domination that a lot of these guys I have over him do. And the number one thing that I could bring up here is the defense. And I know that, the offense is so good that you don't really think about the defense. And of course it is. That's why he's an MVP. That's why I have him 10th on my all-time list. But in terms of overall makeup, I can't put him over some of these guys. And I especially can't put him over Magic Johnson, who is the greatest passer that this game has ever seen. And a great scorer as well. I mean, not a Steph Curry type of scorer. Didn't have her 3-point shot, but still great at, he was a 18, 20-point a game guy all the time and dishing out 12 assists and winning championships like it was nothing.
I'm all the way there on Steph. I'm all the way there.
All right.
5.
To crack my number 5, one of the many Lakers that is on this list, just ridiculous, but Shaquille O'Neal, who, Big Diesel, Big Shaq.
You like the nicknames for these basketball players,
I love the basketball's got great nicknames. Nothing better than Big Fundy, though. Shaquille O'Neal, having him 9 is something that, I think you should probably be punched in the face for. I think that's something that you need to be possibly given jail time for, is having Shaquille O'Neal number 5. You clearly don't, or for having him 9. You clearly don't love him enough that you put him number 9. It's just kind of ridiculous. But, I think it's kind of obvious at this point. Maybe not to some people, because some people might have him as high as 3. But Kobe's not on either of our lists, I'm assuming. He's not on mine. He's probably not on yours.
Nope.
Shaq got there, and Kobe doesn't win without Shaq. And I think that that's obviously not a hot take. I don't think a lot of people are going to come at me for that.
I'm coming at you.
The ability of Shaq to just dominate the game and play in a way that we really had never seen before, especially in the modern era. And a guy his size, the only downfall of this guy's game was he couldn't shoot. And he's a center in the late 90s and in the 2000s. It was not even required that you had to shoot as a center. And Shaq would still be phenomenal in today's game. So Shaquille O'Neal, a guy who I wish stuck it out with the Lakers for longer or with the Magic for longer, and we could have seen just how great he could have been, and maybe a shortened prime, because towards the end he really was just bouncing around with the Heat and with the Celtics and the Cavs and teams like that, and never really seemed to find a home towards the end of his career and just sort of fizzle out. But Shaq is one of, if not the most dominating player that we have seen play this game, and that's why I got him number 5.
Yeah, dominating, 100%. That's the word to use, Shaq, in every single way.
Let's see, do we have any other nicknames for Shaquille O'Neal? We have Shaq, Diesel, the Big Aristotle. I've actually heard that one. Superman, I don't really hear that. Shaq Fu?
No.
Shaq Daddy.
Oh, yeah.
And Warrior. I don't know, that's corny as hell. They just ended on a corny note. But great announcer, too. Great job, Shaq. Great commentator.
I love
Not
Shaq.
Announcer, commentator.
As a human, I love Shaq.
Yeah, great person.
By the way, I found out what happened with RC. If we have time at the end, I'll shoot that out quick. Okay, number 5 is Wilt. You mentioned it, one of the greatest scorers of all time. I mean, you look at the Basketball Reference page. It's like, holy crap, he scored that many points in a season. You hit on it before, though. It's tough to judge a lot of these guys, especially when they played so long ago. Mm-hmm. But I mean, you look at some of these numbers and they're so dominating. It's like, again, what were you supposed to do? All you did was absolutely dominate the league, be the best player in the league. So, when you do it in the way in which he did it, dominate the league at that time, I'm going to have him as one of the top 5 players in the league. Okay. History.
Number 4.
Your nickname.
Yep, my nickname. Magic Johnson of the Los Angeles Lakers, a guy who everybody knows his career story. It was cut short, and then he actually ended up coming back for one more season due to contracting the HIV. Guy's the best point guard of all time. I have him as the highest point guard on this list. He was a great scorer, like I said. He's a 3-time MVP. He's won 5 championships. You talk about you can't write the story of basketball without this guy. Magic Johnson is not only the best point guard of all time and has all the championships and this and that, but Magic Johnson stands out because the guy was a 6'9" point guard, which was unheard of in the NBA, especially at that time. And it's what Ben Simmons hoped to become. And that didn't
love that
really
comparison.
work out for Ben Simmons. Yeah, he's now learning.
He played in preseason the other night.
He's going to have to learn some Mandarin Chinese pretty soon because he's going to be there pretty soon.
That's not nice.
They're posting Twitter videos of the guy hitting 10 free throws in a row, and they're like, oh, my God, Ben Simmons hit 10 straight free throws in practice.
Good for him.
You're in the NBA. Congratulations.
Build him up.
But anyways, yeah. Magic Johnson is number 4 for me, and I really, when I made this list, I wanted to do what you did. I wanted to put Curry over him because I was like, it's the cool take. Like, Curry's, the best point guard of all time. It's a great take to make, but numbers don't lie and accolades don't lie, and they both have great resumes. But when you look at the numbers and you look at how the position was played and the overall dominance, you got to take Magic. Irvin Magic Johnson.
All righty. Number 4 here. I've got a guy you talked about before, Larry Bird. One of the greatest scorers of all time. Took more threes than anybody at the time, right? Kind of almost started that up a little bit. But yeah, a lot of comparisons, like you mentioned about Kevin Durant before, especially when Durant was starting to come up, was like, oh, this guy kind of looks like Larry Bird a little bit, right?
Yep.
Bigger, obviously. Durant's a freak, and nobody's ever seen somebody like Durant. But you know what I mean? The comparison definitely fits. And yeah, won a lot. Dominating player, one of the greatest scorers we've ever seen. I think it was easy here to have him in the top 5. We had him at 4.
All right. Do we? By the way,
I just want to say, also we talk about all these guys, old time guys. It wasn't recent, but Larry Bird. It wasn't like
enough. He wasn't playing in the the Cold War.
Exactly. There we go.
What I think we have the same top 10 though, right? Like we didn't have one guy made the list and one guy missed the top 10. We just have different orders, correct?
Yeah, way different orders. And
we have
the same top 3.
Yeah, I think we are gonna have the same top 3 because we know who each other's 1 is, and pretty sure we both have Michael Jordan 2. So mine and his number 3 is Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I'm not gonna allow any argument for the greatest player of all time besides LeBron James and Michael Jordan. I could get the Jordan argument, but I think it's LeBron. However, if there's one guy that you could argue as the greatest player of all time, it's not Wilt, outside of Jordan and LeBron. It's not Wilt. It's Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, 6-time MVP, scoring title, multiple of them, was a prolific shot blocker. We talked about Steph Curry with making threes and pulling up from 30 feet and 35 feet. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar with the famous hook shot, and that player's trying to master that because of a shot that he made so famous. And he was the all-time leading scorer, and it really sucked because that was sort of a record that you thought was just going to stand forever, and that's kind of, you just associated Kareem as the greatest scorer ever for forever. You just always thought that record was going to stand until Bron came over, not to get all Bron-sexual on you.
Wow.
But talk about a guy who could do it on both sides of the floor and is the greatest scoring big man that we have ever seen. That is Mr. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Yeah.
Lou Alcindor.
He was very butthurt about that too when LeBron scored. I mean,
that was funny. It was
you could tell how
happy.
You could tell how unhappy he was. I'll just skip right to 2 here. Jordan at number 2, and I guess it's gonna correlate into both.
So everybody knows how great Michael Jordan is, and everybody knows how great LeBron is. I want you to now portray because this might be the biggest topic I've ever, the topic I've spent the most time on as a sports fan arguing about in my life is Jordan and LeBron. So, give me some of your strong points of why LeBron over Jordan.
Well, number 1, I think I love the argument of, LeBron he's played in the East, right? He's played in the weaker conference. Right? So that's why he went to so many championships in a row. But at the end of the day, to actually get back that many times in a row and get to the championship, the wear and tear on your body every season, for him to be able to do that so many times is incredibly impressive, okay? So the people in his conference, the teams in his conference never beat him for the most part. Never beat him. Jordan went down early in the playoffs, right? Jordan was taken out by teams in the Eastern Conference, and the Eastern Conference was better at that time.
Yep.
When he got to the finals, though, for the most part, Jordan's teams were not as good as the teams LeBron has faced. So the championship argument to me is not really fair. It's not like, if LeBron has won like 1 or 2 championships, fine. You have an argument.
Right.
LeBron's won 4 championships.
And you could say LeBron's won championships with 3 different teams. That's a huge plus. And on top of
impressive.
And on top of it, why is it that we could say, oh, Jordan's 6-0 in the finals, you know, he's 6 for 6? Why is it that, like you said, when he loses in the first round and to the Celtics and when he loses to the Pistons and loses to these teams, that's okay? Like, he just didn't, as long as he loses before the finals, we're going to forget that his team got eliminated. But LeBron, who has gone to the finals 10 or 11 times, whatever it is now, and has 4 championships, who cares if he has a losing record in the finals? All I know is he's got 4 championships. Jordan has 6. Who cares about the records? And I think some of the craziest numbers that confirm this argument for me is when Jordan left to play baseball, how the
I love this.
Chicago Bulls lost 2 less games than they did the previous season. When LeBron, and don't get me wrong, they didn't make it to the finals. They didn't win the finals. They won the year before. So obviously, like, second best player in basketball history. Jordan was a great player. Don't get me wrong. LeBron leaves the Cavs. They go and win 19 games the next season after a 60-win season with LeBron. Wherever the guy goes, he automatically improves the team. Just look at the teams that the guy's taken. The first stint with the Cavs with Zydrunas Ilgauskas and Anderson Varejao and guys on that team that he carried to the finals. Then, sure, the Heat teams, great teams. Got to the finals, won 2 championships with the Heat, did what he had to do. Goes to Cleveland. That 2018 team had no business in the NBA Finals with J.R. Smith and George Hill and all these like bots running around.
And he had the most impressive NBA Finals performance basically ever in that year.
Oh, 100%.
And in
like a 40-point triple-double in the playoffs, basically.
And in 15, too, when he lost the war. That was 15, right? The first time he lost the war? Yeah. That year too.
So
it makes no sense.
I'll cut it off there. I feel like if we ever get more into this topic, I want to bring on somebody who feels of the opposite view, because I don't want to bore people all day with me and you just talking
riding
about
LeBron.
riding LeBron. I didn't want to say it, but yeah, riding LeBron.
We like Bron. That's what you got to know.
Oh, I just got scared. Vikings head coach Kevin O'Connell talked about Jordan Addison going 140 miles an hour in a 55-mile-an-hour zone, but that happened this offseason. He's fine.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah.
All right. I think that's going to do it here. Episode 111 in the books. Again, look out for our social media accounts. We're going to have all the pages you have to follow. Beat the Odds, BTO Network. Very, very excited to join.
BTO Media. Don't screw it up now.
I know. Network, media, same thing. Be on the lookout for all the social media pages. Follow, like, subscribe. Thanks so much.